The space station called Haven's Reach floated like a silver ring in the middle of the quiet void. It was a place where dozens of species met, traded, healed, and argued without firing weapons. To humans, it was one of the first real signs that Earth had a seat in the wider galaxy. To aliens, it was a hub of strange ideas and even stranger people. Inside the station's medical bay, Ethan Cole, a young human engineer, was busy repairing a cracked sterilizer unit. He was not a doctor, not a nurse, not even trained for medical duty. But humans had a reputation for fixing things that others threw away, and Haven's Reach always needed someone willing to crawl inside machinery. Ethan had grease on his hands, his brown hair was messy from squeezing under the unit, and his stomach kept growling because he had skipped lunch again. Standing nearby, observing with calm, glowing eyes, was Cirilla, a nurse of the insectoid Ryaka. Her tall, slim body was covered in smooth chitin that shimmered faintly green under the bay's lights. She had 4 delicate arms, each capable of precise, careful motion, and 2 larger ones meant for lifting patients or equipment. Despite her alien appearance, her voice carried a soft, patient tone when she spoke. "You are inside the sterilizer again," Cirilla said, her voice humming with a slight vibration. "Are you certain this is safe, Ethan?" Ethan groaned from under the machine. "Safe? No. Necessary?" "Yes. This thing is supposed to keep surgical tools clean, and right now it's doing a worse job than a dirty dish sponge." Cirilla tilted her head. The movement reminded Ethan of how an owl might look at prey, except her eyes glowed with genuine concern. "Your species has unusual courage, or perhaps recklessness." Ethan chuckled, sliding out with a wrench in his hand. "Reckless? Nah, I just like keeping my insides on the inside, thanks." He wiped sweat from his forehead. "Besides, if I don't fix it, you'll be stuck scrubbing tools by hand, and that's no fun." Cirilla's mandibles twitched in what Ethan had learned was her version of a smile. "You care for the work of others. Admirable." Ethan stretched, trying to shake off the stiffness in his shoulders. "Well, someone has to keep things running. If I left it alone, you'd be the one suffering." Cirilla's antennae lifted slightly, a Rika gesture of amusement. "Perhaps you are more thoughtful than your clumsy movements suggest." Ethan pointed the wrench at her dramatically. "Careful, Cirilla." That sounded suspiciously like a compliment. The nurse tilted her head again, mandibles twitching. It was an observation. Something playful rose in Ethan. He liked how Cirilla's serious nature gave him room to tease. He couldn't help it. Humor was how humans handled stress. Boredom, and in Ethan's case, everything else. So grinning, he said the words that would change his life. "Yes, dear." The medical bay went silent. Ethan blinked, lowering the wrench. Cirilla's antennae froze and her eyes widened ever so slightly. For a long moment she didn't move, and Ethan wondered if he had finally gone too far with the joke. Then Cirilla's mandibles curved into a slow, deliberate smile. "Mate," she said softly. "You accept." Ethan froze. "Wait, what?" Cirilla's 4 smaller hands touched lightly together in front of her chest. "In Rika, custom to call another dear in public is to accept them as your life bond. You have spoken it before others." Ethan looked around the bay. A couple of orderlies, one scaled, one feathered, were indeed present, staring wide-eyed at the human and the nurse. "No, no, no," Ethan said quickly, waving his hands. "It was a joke." "A human joke. I wasn't serious." But Cirilla tilted her head again, calm and patient. The words were spoken. "Intention is irrelevant. You have chosen." Ethan's heart started pounding. "I didn't choose anything." "Where I come from, yes, dear, is something humans say when we're teasing. It doesn't mean—" Before he could finish, the feathered orderly let out a chirp and rushed out of the room. The scaled one followed. Ethan groaned. "Great. Now the whole station is going to think I proposed marriage." Cirilla remained unshaken. "Proposed? You misunderstand. You have completed the bond. It is already sealed." Ethan rubbed his face. "I really should have just stayed in bed this morning." The rumor spread faster than a solar flare. By the end of the shift, half the medical staff was whispering about the human engineer and the Rika nurse. By the next day, traders and visitors in the station's markets were gossiping. By the end of the week, Ethan couldn't walk down a corridor without someone giving him a knowing look or congratulating him on his courage. He tried to explain. He really did. Every time someone mentioned it, Ethan would launch into a long speech about human sarcasm, jokes, and cultural misunderstandings. But the aliens never got it. "You humans," one merchant had said with a laugh, "always doing things boldly. even choosing mates through jokes. Ethan had thrown up his hands. That's not how it works. But it didn't matter. The story had already taken root. The real trouble began when the summons arrived. Ethan was in his workshop trying to fix a broken water recycler when Cirilla entered. She carried a silver token in her upper hands, the seal of the Rika Queen etched into its surface. The Queen requests your presence, Cirilla said. Ethan dropped his tool. The Queen? As in your queen? The insect lady who rules a hive with millions of your people? Cirilla's mandibles twitched in amusement. Yes, she has taken interest in the human who bonded with her nurse. Ethan felt his stomach drop. Oh no. This is bad. You are nervous, Cirilla observed. Nervous? Cirilla, your queen could snap me in half without blinking. If she thinks I tried to steal one of her nurses. You did not steal me, Cirilla interrupted calmly. You accepted me. There is difference. Ethan buried his face in his hands. This was supposed to be a joke. Cirilla tilted her head again. Then perhaps humans should choose their jokes more carefully. The throne chamber of the Rika hive on Haven's Reach was carved from living resin, glowing faintly with amber light. The queen herself sat on a dais towering and magnificent, her wings folded like crystal panels. Her many eyes regarded Ethan with unblinking curiosity. Ethan bowed, sweating bullets. He had never bowed before in his life, but it seemed like the right time to start. So, the queen said, her voice deep and resonant, echoing through the chamber. You are the human who has bound himself to Cirilla. Ethan opened his mouth, ready to explain everything, but Cirilla's gentle hand rested on his shoulder. He looked up, saw her calm eyes, and froze. Yes, Your Majesty, he said weakly. The queen leaned forward, her antennae twitching. Fascinating. Humans truly are fearless, Ethan nearly fainted. Fearless? He had never been more afraid in his life, but he forced a weak smile. Yes, dear. Cirilla's mandibles curved in another smile. The queen's throne chamber was massive, filled with the faint hum of energy and the sweet scent of resin walls. Ethan stood at the center of the chamber, painfully aware of dozens of alien eyes watching him from the shadows. Rika drones lined the walls, each armed and alert. He was just one human engineer with a grease-stained jacket, standing in front of an insectoid monarch who could probably crush him with one hand. Human, the queen said again, her deep voice carrying both power and curiosity. Your words have bound you to Cirilla. Do you understand what this means? Ethan swallowed hard. His first instinct was to say, no, I don't, and it was a joke. But Cirilla was standing beside him, calm and proud. Her presence made him hesitate. She had trusted him since the day he first stepped into the medical bay, and now she looked at him as if nothing about this situation was wrong. He forced himself to nod. I understand that I may have, caused a misunderstanding. The queen leaned forward, her antennae twitching with interest. Misunderstanding? Ethan tried to explain. In human culture, sometimes we say things we don't really mean. We joke, we tease. Yes, dear, it's something a husband might say to his wife as a kind of playful response, but it doesn't mean we're actually married when we say it casually. The queen was silent. The drones shifted but made no sound. Cirilla, standing tall beside Ethan, tilted her head slightly. The queen's many eyes blinked slowly. You speak of untruth, words that carry no weight. Ethan nodded quickly. Exactly. Humans sometimes say things just for fun, to make others laugh. It's not meant to be binding. The queen's antennae twitched again, this time sharper. Strange, dangerous, to the Rika, words are never empty. A spoken bond is unbreakable. To give words without meaning would be betrayal. Ethan's stomach turned. He realized too late how serious the cultural difference was. What was casual to him was sacred to them. I didn't mean to disrespect your people, Ethan said quickly, bowing his head. I was only trying to be friendly. The queen leaned back on her throne. And yet Cirilla stands with you unashamed. She claims you spoke truth. She believes your bond is genuine. Ethan turned his head slightly, staring at Cirilla in disbelief. She stood calm, her antennae lifted, her mandibles curved in a faint smile. You believe this? Ethan whispered. Cirilla's eyes glowed faintly as she answered, I do. You treat me with kindness, you respect my work, and you do not fear to speak freely. That is worth more than rigid rituals. Ethan wanted to argue, but the queen's voice thundered again. Very well. If Cirilla accepts you, then so do I. This union shall stand as a symbol between our peoples. Ethan nearly choked. Wait, symbol? The Queen's mandibles spread in a way that made Ethan's blood run cold. Yes, human courage and Rika truth joined together. The other hives will hear of this. Let them know. The Queen's healer has chosen a mate from Earth. The chamber echoed with approving hums from the drones. Ethan stood frozen. A simple joke had become not only a marriage, but now a political alliance. Later, in the quiet corridors outside the throne chamber, Ethan paced back and forth. Cyrilla walked calmly beside him, carrying herself with the same graceful patience as always. "This is insane," Ethan muttered, rubbing his temples. "I was just trying to be funny. Now your queen thinks I'm some sort of ambassador husband. You are not pleased?" Cyrilla asked softly. Ethan stopped pacing, staring at her. "Pleased? Cyrilla, do you realize what this means? I can't just walk around the station anymore without people bowing or whispering. Your people think I actually meant it." Cyrilla's mandibles twitched again. "Perhaps you did." Ethan froze. No, I didn't, that's the point. But you are kind to me. You risk yourself to repair machines others fear. You work so we can heal our patients more easily. You do not speak to me as if I am strange. You treat me as equal." Ethan's chest tightened. She wasn't teasing him. She truly believed it. He sighed and leaned against the wall. "Cyrilla, humans. We don't usually decide things like this so quickly. Back on Earth, people date, they take time, they argue, they laugh, they see if it works." Cyrilla tilted her head. "And if it does not work? Then they part ways," Ethan said. "To us once spoken it cannot break," Cyrilla said firmly. Her eyes glowed with something Ethan couldn't quite read. Was it admiration? Determination? Maybe both. "But perhaps your way is why your people survive so much chaos. You adapt. You change." Ethan gave a weak laugh. "Yeah, we're good at stumbling forward." Cyrilla's mandibles curved in what was unmistakably a smile. "Then stumble with me." Ethan stared at her for a long moment, unable to answer. The next days were chaos. News spread across the station. Merchants offered Ethan wedding gifts of alien fabrics and food samples. Engineers teased him with congratulations. Even human staff stopped him in the hall, asking if it was true. One evening, Ethan sat in the cafeteria, burying his face in a tray of synthetic stew, when his friend Marcus, a fellow human technician, slid into the seat across from him. "So," Marcus said, grinning, "you got yourself hitched to a 6-armed space nurse, huh?" Ethan groaned. "Don't start." Marcus leaned back, laughing. "Man, only you could turn a joke into an interspecies alliance. You realize if this keeps up, Earth diplomats might actually thank you?" "Don't remind me," Ethan muttered. Marcus smirked. "Come on, she's not bad. Cyrilla's smart, gentle, and probably tougher than anyone here. You could do worse." Ethan stared at his stew. He wanted to argue, but Marcus wasn't wrong. Cyrilla had always been patient with him, even when he messed up repairs or tracked grease into the sterile bay. She had taught him things about Rika biology, even answered his endless dumb questions without irritation. "She deserves better than me," Ethan muttered. Marcus shrugged. "Maybe she thinks you deserve her." "Ever thought about that?" Ethan had no answer. That night, as Ethan walked back to his quarters, he found Cyrilla waiting by the door. Her posture was calm, her antennae lowered in a respectful gesture. "I came to ask," she said softly, "if you regret it." Ethan froze. The hallway was quiet, the hum of the station faint in the background. He struggled for words. "I regret making things hard for you. I didn't mean to drag you into this." Cyrilla stepped closer. Her large hands rested gently on his shoulders, surprisingly warm for someone covered in chitin. "You did not drag me. I chose to believe your words. To me, you are mate. If humans call it different, that does not matter." Ethan's throat tightened. Why would you want that? "I'm just me. I fix broken things. I'm not a warrior or a diplomat. I don't even know how to act in front of your queen without looking like an idiot." Cyrilla's mandibles curved again. "That is why. You are not pretending to be something greater. You are real. Rika admire truth and you carry it without realizing." Ethan looked into her glowing eyes. For the first time he wondered if maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a mistake at all. But before he could speak, the station alarms blared. A voice crackled over the comms. "Medical emergency. The Queen has collapsed. All medical staff report immediately." Cyrilla's antennae shot up. Her eyes widened. Without hesitation, she grabbed Ethan's arm. "Come," she said urgently. "If she dies, the hive dies. We must save her." Ethan stumbled after her, heart racing. He wasn't a doctor, but Cyrilla's grip was firm, her faith in him unshakable. The corridors of Haven's Reach were alive with chaos. Red alarm lights flashed, and the faint hum of the station's power system seemed sharper, louder. Every human, Rika, and visitor in the medical sector rushed to the central hub where the Queen was being transported. Ethan followed Cyrilla closely, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst through his chest. He was just an engineer. He fixed machines. That was it. He was not a healer, not a medic, not anyone qualified to save a living creature, let alone the Rika Queen, the mother of millions. Cyrilla's 4 smaller arms moved with precision, pulling supplies from the med bay lockers as they ran. Her larger arms carried emergency biopods and stabilizing gels. Despite the urgency, she maintained perfect calm. Ethan had to admit, her calm was contagious even if it didn't stop his knees from trembling. "We're not going to panic," Cyrilla said firmly, as if reading his mind. "Panic achieves nothing. Focus on what can be done." "Are you capable?" Ethan swallowed. I think so. I can help." "You will help," she said, almost as if stating a law of physics. "Humans are unpredictable. Sometimes you see a problem others cannot. That is why I am here with you." Ethan wanted to protest, to say he had no idea what he was doing, but Cyrilla's voice brooked no argument. He followed her into the Queen's chamber, where the massive insectoid monarch lay slumped in a biopod. Her glowing chitin dimmed and her breathing was uneven, labored. The station's Rika doctors were already at work, trying to stabilize her with methods that seemed ritualistic and slow. Cyrilla touched Ethan's shoulder with one of her small hands. "Watch, learn, then assist. Do not hesitate." Ethan nodded, feeling a strange mixture of terror and determination. The Queen's body had been invaded by a rare parasite, one even the Rika had no known cure for. They called it the Void Leech, a microscopic organism that burrowed into nerve tissue. The parasite resisted all traditional treatments, and the Queen's condition worsened with every passing minute. "Her neural nodes are failing," one Rika doctor muttered, clicking mandibles nervously. "If she collapses completely, the hive may enter chaos. The Queen is the anchor. Without her, the drones will lose cohesion." Ethan's stomach twisted. "So she dies, everyone freaks out?" The doctor's compound eyes blinked slowly. "Yes, the hive could collapse." Cyrilla turned to Ethan. "We cannot let that happen. Your human methods may work where ours do not." "You must try." Ethan's jaw dropped. "You're asking me. What? I'm an engineer. I can fix machines, wires, and pipes. I can't fix a parasite." Cyrilla's mandibles curved into what could only be described as a firm smile. "You will do what humans do best, improvise." Ethan's mind raced. He glanced at the biopod, the Queen's fragile form, and the Rika doctors frantically preparing treatments. Nothing in his training, nothing had prepared him for this. But Cyrilla's steady gaze kept him anchored. "Okay," he muttered to himself. "Improvisation, that's what humans do, right?" He grabbed a portable diagnostic scanner, scanning the parasite's biosigns. "It's resistant to chemical treatments," Ethan said, his voice shaking. "They keep attacking it with biogels, but it's adapting faster than their protocols can respond." Cyrilla's antennae twitched. "And human adaptation?" Ethan exhaled, rolling up his sleeves. "We improvise. We combine solutions. Sometimes the answer isn't in tradition, it's in creativity." He pulled together the materials around the room. Nanotech filters from the lab, biogel stabilizers, emergency oxygen regulators. Then he examined the Queen, tracing her neural pathways as the scanner highlighted infected areas. "I think," he muttered, "if we create a controlled feedback loop, amplify the biogel with targeted nanotech filtration, it might attack the parasite without harming the Queen." Cyrilla's eyes widened. "You would combine alien gel with human devices?" "Yes," Ethan said, his mind moving faster than he could speak. "It's risky. It might fail. But nothing here is working. I have to try." Cyrilla's mandibles twitched in approval. "Then we proceed." For hours, Ethan worked with Cyrilla and the Rika doctors. He calibrated nanotech filters to match the parasite's life cycle, adjusted the biogel's chemical composition, and rigged improvised stabilizers to keep the Queen's body alive. The Rika doctors watched him, skeptical but silent. At first, nothing happened. The Queen's vital signs remained weak. Ethan's hands shook with exhaustion, sweat dripping onto the floor. He almost gave up several times, but each time Cirilla's calm voice reminded him, "You can do this. Humans adapt when nothing else can. That is why I chose you." The words hit him differently than they had in the throne chamber. This was no joke. This was life and death. The Queen's life and the stability of her entire species rested on his shoulders. Ethan took a deep breath. "Okay, one more attempt." We changed the feedback loop. Target the parasite's neural nodes directly. Focus the nanotech filters and pulses. Cirilla assisted, her multiple arms moving with precision, guiding his hands and supporting his devices. "I will handle monitoring. You focus." Minutes passed, and Ethan felt the tension of the entire hive pressing down on him. Finally, he activated the system. The biogel pulsed, nanotech filters hummed, and the parasite's biosigns began to weaken. The Rika doctors gasped. "It is working." Ethan couldn't believe it. "Yes, keep it going." Cirilla's antennae lifted high. "It will succeed if we continue." After what felt like hours but was only minutes, the Queen's vital signs stabilized. Her breathing slowed, her chitin glowed faintly once more, and the hum of life returned to her body. The room erupted in muted, reverent cheers. Ethan collapsed onto the floor, exhausted, his hands shaking. Cirilla knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said softly. "You saved her. Your improvisation, your courage, it worked." Ethan looked up at her, blinking back tears he didn't know he had. "I can't believe it. I didn't know if it would work. I just tried," Cirilla smiled. "Humans try. That is why you survive. That is why I chose you. And now the Queen knows your value." The Queen, fully recovered, lifted her massive head, her many eyes locking onto Ethan. She spoke slowly, her voice filled with a new kind of respect. "You human have done what Rika could not. You risked life and logic to save mine. Your methods are strange, reckless, brilliant. The hive owes you more than words can express." Ethan wiped his forehead. I did what I could." "I didn't think," the Queen interrupted, her antennae twitching in emphasis. "No, you acted. That is what matters. You are remarkable." Cirilla's hand squeezed Ethan's gently. "She sees what I have always seen. Humans are extraordinary, not because they are the strongest, but because they act when others hesitate. You acted, Ethan." Ethan felt a strange warmth spread through him. Cirilla believed in him. The Queen believed in him. For the first time, he realized that maybe, just maybe, being human, messy, flawed, unprepared was enough. The crisis had not only tested his skills, it had revealed something deeper. He could rise to the challenge. He could matter. The Rika hive hummed with activity, but this time it was not panic. It was celebration. The Queen was awake, her body strong and her glow radiant once more. The vast chamber of the hive pulsed with life as drones, workers, and healers went about their duties with renewed energy. The crisis had been averted and the hive could breathe again. Ethan stood near Cirilla, still exhausted but slowly realizing the magnitude of what had just happened. He had saved a species, or at least their ruler, and yet he still felt small and human among the towering insectoid forms around him. "You did it," Cirilla said softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have shown the hive what humans are capable of. You should be proud." Ethan shook his head, a tired smile on his face. "Proud? I just did what I could. I was scared half to death and had no idea if it would work." Cirilla's mandibles curved in amusement. "Fear is irrelevant. Action is what matters. You acted when others could not. That is why you are extraordinary." Ethan looked at her, his heart pounding. She wasn't teasing him this time. She truly believed it. He felt warmth spread through him, an unfamiliar, comforting feeling. Before he could respond, the Queen's voice echoed through the chamber. "Human," Ethan froze. Yes, Your Majesty." The Queen's many eyes focused on him, unblinking, examining him like a scientist observing an experiment. "You have saved my life. You have acted when others hesitated. You have used methods we could not imagine, and yet they worked." Ethan swallowed. "I thank you, Your Majesty. I just followed what I thought might work. I wasn't sure it would." The Queen's antennae twitched. "That is precisely why it worked. You think differently. You improvise. You do not rely solely on ritual. That is the human way." Cirilla's hand squeezed his shoulder. "See? I was right about you." Ethan smiled weakly, feeling a mixture of relief and disbelief. "I guess humans do have something special about us." The Queen leaned forward, her wings folding gracefully behind her. "You are now a hero among the Rika. Your ingenuity and courage are an example to all. Tell me, human, do you understand what this means for your life here? Ethan hesitated. I suppose it means I can't go back to just being an engineer. The hive, the queen, everyone will expect me to do more. Exactly, the queen said. You're no longer simply human. You are a symbol of unity, courage, and adaptability. And Cirilla? She turned her many eyes toward the nurse. Your mate has proven worthy. Together you are stronger than any one of us alone. Ethan felt a hand on his arm. Cirilla smiled at him, her antennae lifting high. The queen has acknowledged what I have always known. You are remarkable, and not only because you saved her life. Ethan looked into her glowing eyes and felt a strange calm wash over him. He realized that the bond between them was no longer just a joke or a misunderstanding. It was something real, something mutual. The hive held a celebration to honor the queen's recovery and Ethan's ingenuity. The chamber was filled with light, the walls glowing amber as Rika drones and healers moved about in perfect coordination. The air was thick with the scent of resin and energy, and the hum of the hive was like music to Ethan's ears. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging among these alien beings. They were not human, yet their lives, their culture, and their appreciation for courage resonated deeply with him. You should join me in the ceremony, Cirilla said. It is customary to honor the one who saved the queen. Ethan shook his head. I'm not sure I belong in this kind of ceremony. I'm just me. I fix machines, I make mistakes, You are more than that, Cirilla interrupted. You acted when others could not. You improvised, you risked yourself, and you saved lives. That is worth more than skill or rank. Ethan hesitated, then nodded. All right, I'll do it. During the ceremony, the queen formally recognized Ethan as Cirilla's mate. She spoke of his courage, his ingenuity, and his ability to act where others hesitated. Drones and workers lined the chamber, acknowledging him with subtle bows and hums. Ethan felt a wave of emotions, pride, disbelief, and a strange sense of peace. He looked at Cirilla, who stood beside him with quiet dignity. Her presence was steady, comforting, and somehow made the chaos of the hive feel manageable. You did it, she whispered. Not just saving the queen, but being human. And that is what makes you special. Ethan smiled, his exhaustion momentarily forgotten. I guess humans really are something, huh? Cirilla's mandibles curved in a small, proud smile. Yes, you are proof. The days following the queen's recovery were a mix of adjustment and celebration. Ethan learned more about Rika culture, their medicine, and their ways of life. He realized that his human methods, when combined with Rika tradition, could achieve results no one species could alone. He worked alongside Cirilla every day, helping in the medical bay, improvising solutions, and learning to navigate the complexities of the hive. Each day he grew more confident, more skilled, and more aware of the unique qualities humans brought to the galaxy. One evening after a long day of work, Ethan and Cirilla walked through the hive corridors. The amber light of the hive walls cast soft shadows, and the hum of the hive felt like a heartbeat beneath their feet. You have changed the way the hive sees humans, Cirilla said. Before they saw you as fragile, limited. Now they see potential, courage, and ingenuity. Ethan shrugged. I just did what I had to do. I didn't think about changing anything. Sometimes, Cirilla said, that is enough. Your actions, even small ones, can create ripples that change the world or the galaxy. Ethan smiled faintly. He looked at her, feeling a connection deeper than words. I never thought a joke could lead to all this. Cirilla's mandibles twitched in amusement. Sometimes what starts as a joke becomes destiny. The queen called a meeting to discuss future plans for the hive and interspecies relations. Ethan attended as an honored guest, sitting beside Cirilla. He listened as the queen spoke of diplomacy, trade, and mutual aid between humans and Rika. Ethan realized that he was no longer just an engineer or a visitor. He was a symbol, a bridge between species, and a living proof of humanity's adaptability. And while the responsibility was immense, he found comfort in Cirilla's presence. After the meeting, Cirilla led him to a quiet chamber. The amber glow was softer here, and the hum of the hive felt like a gentle lullaby. You have proven yourself, she said, not just to me, but to all of the Rika, and I am proud to call you my mate. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him, a mix of relief, pride, and something he couldn't quite name. He took her hand, feeling the smooth texture of her chitin. I'm proud too, he said softly. Not just because I saved the queen, but because Well, because you believed in me and I believe in you too. Cyrilla's antennae lifted high, a sign of joy and trust. Then we are equals, partners. Together we can face anything. Ethan nodded, a small smile on his face. Together,